What's good, everybody? Welcome to Find Your True Fire podcast. It's your host, CJ Alleyne, also known as No Limit CJ. And I have a special guest for you guys. This is the legend, the man, the myth, Donovan Parrish. How you doing, bro?
Good to be here, man. It's good to be here finally on the podcast after we've
Yes,
tried to
sir.
do some months. So we're
Yeah,
here. We're
forever.
here.
So
Absolutely.
glad we can make this happen. For some context, me and Donovan, we grew up going to church together, and it's
Yeah.
cool now how, being in different or the same ministries and stuff like that, we've been able to connect more, growing our friendship, and turns out we both do business. So it's great to have this happening.
Yep.
But I can't give the whole spill. Donovan, can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
It's a company where we build funnels and we run ads for coaching, consultant, and course creators. And I've been running it for about 8 to 10 years now. And
Wow.
we started off as a social media agency, and then we transitioned to what I mentioned. And I love it. It's my full time, and it's what I do. I love what I do, and I'm good at it.
That's awesome, man. What name did you, or how did you come up with your name with the Brandon?
So Social Plank, it was a weird. I was just sitting at my desk one day, and I was just like, okay, well, if we deal with social media, let's put social as the first name. And then I said, okay, well, if like, what do clients need? They need like a secure plank, a foundation. And I
Yeah.
just put two and two together, and I said Social Plank, and that's it. So there was no special, stayed up hours and hours. It was just something to put together. So, and that's been the name ever since.
That's how you do it. Social plank.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
that's dope. And I think it's dope that you've been doing business for a while, because you said you've been doing it for 8 to 10 years. And
Yeah.
a lot of people can think it's overnight success, but I think the
Mhm.
fact that you've been chipping at it for all these years and you're still making a
Oh yeah.
way, it's
Mhm.
inspiring, man. It's definitely inspiring to the people watching, and myself included. But I was
Mhm.
gonna ask you, like, as a young entrepreneur, like, how do you stay motivated and inspired in
Mhm.
your own work?
So I remember when like I remember my why, and that helps me. So that's just one aspect. The why is because I have a lot of people that I want to help. There's a lot of things I want to do. There's a lot of personal things that I want. And since me being a Christian, I'm a man of God. There's a lot of people in God's kingdom that I want to help out. His church, the members, and there's just so much that motivates me to keep going. And then I look at the where I've came from, the things I've accomplished, and the hurt I've experienced, trying to run the business in the past, the struggle, the staying up. Just I don't want to give all that the glory of the staying up late at night. It's not
That's what it took,
necessary,
though.
but
Yeah, I
it
get it.
that's what it took. Sometimes I'll say like staying up late, that's the move. But that's what it takes sometimes. I'm not saying jack up your sleep schedule, but I'm saying, do what's necessary, You'll know what's necessary when the time comes. But, I'm sure you can attest to that as well, CJ. But yeah, those are
100%.
things that, keep me going is my why.
Super important, because shoot, you could lose track of that sometimes. Like, I
Oh
think
yeah.
sometimes even, you know, we can forget our why. Like, life sometimes makes us forget our why. So
Yeah.
even writing that down or having a way you memorize that and you getting re-inspired by it, it's part of the process, man. I
Oh
appreciate
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, of
yeah.
course.
Do you have like even with that, like you mentioned all the late nights and everything, do you have a moment in your business where you feel like you were proud of yourself? You feel like you're proud of things you accomplished at the time and even so far.
Yeah, so that was when I landed my dream client. I was proud, but I didn't think I was going to be more stressed out getting my dream
Mm,
client. But the time I was most proud was when the time came for me to finally close. Because it's never a deal till it closes. But I had closed my first dream client, and they paid me up front. And it was the first time I had changed my entire offer. And so she was actually my first client for my new offer, which was
mm.
a certain design and funnels that I do. And she just paid the whole thing up front, really no questions asked. And we just got great results for her. And I just really felt like I was like, wow, this is really like I'm starting to see the fruit of my labor now. And it was just encouraging. I was really encouraged.
That's dope, man. I think
Absolutely.
just the wins like that, they hit different. But
Oh yeah.
the untold part, I feel like, is the stress that comes after it. Because
Hmm.
I think God has an interesting way of not giving us what we want right away, but it's
Yeah.
because sometimes, like with that, it comes more stress and things that we didn't even think we were ready to handle in the first place.
Hmm.
I remember when
Yeah.
I was getting started with YouTube and it starts taking off, I thought this is what I've been waiting for. What now?
Hmm.
Like it's kind of like, oh shoot, like
Yeah.
this is a lot like to manage now. So I definitely relate to that. Definitely relate to
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
story you told. But yeah, that's inspiring, man. That's dope.
I appreciate
Good
that.
stuff. Yeah, for sure. How do you think for those looking for their true fire, how do you think trying out new activities and hobbies can help personal growth and development?
So for me, before I went fully into business, I tried so many different things. I knew I always wanted to go into business, but I was broke, and I was like, I got to figure something out.
Yeah.
So I remember, and I before I knew I wanted to go into business, because I started like noticing like, oh yeah, this is what I want, and that was probably late eighth grade. 'Cause that's when I started my like shoe reselling business. But even before that, I was already like testing out different jobs. I remember my first job was it Stop and Shop, and then
Hmm.
McDonald's, and then Target, and then customer service jobs, inbound and outbound calls, and sales and marketing jobs, and just so many different things. And so I've tried in construction jobs where I worked in factories, Amazon, just so many different things. And I noticed that these weren't for me. Maybe they're for someone else. Like people maybe like, just being hands on with customers through the phone, or maybe people like working with their hands. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I was like, I want to do something where I can be as creative as I want, and I can sell my creativity and make money off of it. And for me, just starting different ventures at that point where I started a e-commerce brand early on, and I was really successful with that. I was doing about $1,000 a week with that little brand, and I was selling like playground sets. And
Hmm.
my profit was horrible. My profit margins were horrible. But at that time, I was like, wow, this stuff really works. Because you grow up like me, I grew up seeing so many like e-commerce videos and Shopify, and people selling
Yeah.
this stuff on Shopify, and I was like, this stuff, it can't be real, man. And I just grinded it out, and it finally worked. And I was like, okay, this works, but it's not scalable. I don't got 60,000 to throw into inventory for playground sets. Yeah, it's not
Right.
happening. So I had to figure something else out. So yeah, just trying so many different things definitely helped me hone in on one idea and helped me to focus in on that idea for sure. So
Yeah, that's dope. I think
hmm.
well, I think you could say that in all those things that you tried, you've had like a point where it's like this isn't for me, like you said. And
Oh yeah.
I think in life, like sometimes I know even personally, but also in general, like it's easy for the situation we're in to kind of feel like it's suffocating us and like, yeah, this isn't
Yeah.
gonna work and I'm failing and things like that.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I think what you mentioned too is just with faith, of course, trying different things out to figure out your true fire. I think that's
Yeah.
awesome how you
Hmm.
know it wasn't just like the idea popped up in what you do with social play and just pop up right
Hmm.
away. It kind of took
Oh
going through
yeah.
different things and trying and realizing this wasn't for you, and it's not a waste of time. It's actually the thing that's helping you get closer to what you're looking for. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
inspiring. That's inspiring its own for sure. Uh,
I appreciate that.
and even to this day, like, what are some new things that you're trying out that you're eager to pursue? And like, what are you trying? What steps are you taking to make them like come into play?
So basically right now, I'd say about 4 months ago, I decided to add some more services into my brand. Not things that I'm like, hey, I have service one, service two, service three. It's more of I have service one, and within that service, I break down different things like, hey, do you want this certain? Because with AI, there's so many different services I can do within a service. So it's like, okay, you want offer A? Great, offer A has service 1A, 2A, 2B. I mean, different little things like that. And
Yep.
like basically tier pricing, because the tier model is much more sufficient than I'm sorry, efficient than just a package A, package B, and things like that. So I have
Hmm.
tiers now, and it's much easier for my clients to say, hey, I'd rather work with tier one. That's in our budget. That's what we can do. And then I talk with them about that, and that's kind of how we move forward with that. So that's kind of the new project that we worked on, and we're still working on, and yeah. So I definitely think it's promising.
Dope. Yeah, I think you know there's definitely it's definitely important to try to keep adding to like your business like as time goes
Yeah.
on, and that's one of the cool, not easy
Hmm.
parts, but the cool parts about business is that you can always refine it more and more as we
Yeah.
go on. I think sometimes
Hmm.
we can get in a place of stagnatism, and it's like it can feel like things aren't working out, but sometimes it just means maybe let's switch this up, let's try this out, let's try,
Yeah.
and you get to get in a habit of trying and rather than like or trying and testing, and rather than failing, you just learn a lesson and then you can act on that.
Yeah.
That's
Most
dope.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah. Um, what advice do you have for young people that are, looking to connect with like-minded people and build a strong support system?
So my answer is going to be uh I'll put it this way. If you're trying to find your fire, if you're like, hey, I'm young, I'm trying to figure things out, the way I've had to learn things the hard way, the life way, the real way, and just learning from a point of trying to do things with you as your foundation, it doesn't work.
Mm,
Because building something without a foundation, whatever you build, a hotel, you build a hospital or a house or a business, it's like you need a firm foundation. And if you are your own source of foundation, it's not going to work because you're not going to have something to go back to and say, hey, these are my ideals. These are what keeps me from, being immoral or being like financially wrong, like doing my clients wrong financially. And when I say immoral, I mean things like not having integrity when you're working with a client, or having integrity when you should have, when you're building a building, you should have spent more on the design process and the construction, because now you're putting the family who's going to live here at risk. Um, so I would say my advice is, for me, that foundation was finding God through the Bible and understanding what that meant, because I needed someone bigger than me, not more successful than me, someone bigger than me who saw things from a more of a out of this world viewpoint. Because in this
yeah.
world, yeah, we're all different people, but at the end of the day, we see things only from the way we can see them on this planet. And I was like, hey, I need someone bigger than me. Someone in the Bible says God created us. Who better to show me how to find my fire, my purpose than God? Like, it was a no brainer. It took me 20 years to figure that out.
Yeah.
Making mistakes and making businesses, failing businesses, but it took me so long to really figure that out. And I'd say simple answer to you is to find your fire. Look to the person who creates that fire and others. Look at what they do. Look at their morals. Look at how they operate, and say like, wow, like if you want that, then you got to go to the person who even provides them with that. And for me, that's
Mm.
God. So
Oh, at the gym. Hey, that's
yeah,
that's the best thing you can say. I think definitely with the relationship with God, you're able to find your fire from the person that that started that fire in the first place. That was a bar.
yeah,
That was a bar. I got
I
that.
appreciate that.
Um, but that's dope. I think it's dope how you got to a point, because life humbles us all, and you got
Oh
to a
yeah,
point where life got you to where I need to figure out like it brought you to a wall. We really had nowhere to go, and it's like, okay, let me go to the person that created me in the first place.
yeah,
And if I want to be successful, I got to go to the person that sees things from a higher view than me, because I'm
oh yeah.
I'm a person, I'm CJ, but I'm created by somebody and they know the
Hmm.
designs and everything about that. So
Absolutely,
well said, man.
I
Well said.
appreciate that.
Yeah, 100%. Um, how and for those, that haven't maybe even connected with or are looking to connect with God and are not sure about that, how is he kind of how is he positively impacted your business?
So God's a funny God, meaning, and I say it with respect, meaning God does things in a funny way because sometimes we often will think, why isn't God making me successful? Why isn't God giving me the idea that I need to make this business successful? And sometimes, so the way I see business is so I'll put it this way. A founder of a business is somebody who founded the business, somebody who created the idea, they founded it. And then they hire a CEO to run the business. So the CEO runs the entire business. So, but they answer to the founder. And there's a book I was reading. It's Building Your Business Off of Godly Principles. And it talks about how God is the founder of our business and he gave us the opportunity to be his CEOs. And he's entrusted the business, meaning this thing we call life. Yeah, he gives us the free will to run it, but he's trusting us to do it the way he built the business off of his foundations. And so God for me has impacted me in a way of he's given me a sense of direction through the scriptures. There's so many different characters in the Bible that I get a lot of business advice from. Excuse me. Guys like King Solomon. He was the richest man ever lived. Who better to get advice from the richest man ever lived? And he was a man of God. You know, there's no other. You can't look at any other entrepreneur and tell me that they have a better understanding of wisdom. Who was deemed the wisest person, Solomon, and success, the most successful person who ever lived, which was King Solomon.
Mm.
Or you look at amazing kings like King David, and even guys like Abraham. Like these guys carried themselves with so much integrity. Did they make mistakes? Yes, a lot of mistakes, a lot of mistakes.
Yeah,
But
100%.
they always came back to their why, which was like your first question, and they come back to their foundation. So for me, God has just given me a sense of foundation to come back to when I'm stressed, when I'm thinking, hey, do I do this? Do I do that? He explains things. He helps me to see things through my Bible to say, like, okay, when you're tempted to, like upscale in a non-integral way, it's like, okay, he's like, don't do that. If I can trust you with a little, I'll be able to trust you with a lot. So I see a founder doesn't just hire anybody. They hire people they can trust. So
Yeah.
when you're thinking of uh, anyone in the audience who's thinking like, okay, well, I want God to be able to trust me with this. You have to prove yourself. You can't go to any founder in the world and say, you got to trust me. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to be the best. You have to have a resume. You have to prove yourself. And that's just the way life works. So if you have to prove yourself to your boss or to a job, you have to prove yourself to God when you want this business. That's just the way it works in his
Yeah.
kingdom.
That's good. Good stuff, man. I think I agree with everything you're saying, me being in the faith as well. I think
Yeah.
that resonates with me because I never read that book, but shoot, I know what I'm getting next. um,
I'll send it to
but
you.
that's good. I think just the aspect of you see things bigger than Donovan. You're
Hmm.
able to give something like that and trust God to, I mean, if God created everything,
Oh yeah.
good. I mean, shoot, what can he do with my business? I mean, if he could create the
Hmm.
world, he could do my business. So I think entrusting him with that and reminding yourself of the fact that he entrusts you to do great things and you get to
Yeah.
learn, know, step by step. Even when you're confused, when you're lost, you can seek that from him from an understanding and all knowing God. So
Yep.
uh,
Most definitely. Well said, bro. For sure.
yeah, 100%. I mean, this question I think it kind of follows up, but what ways do your beliefs and your values influence your professional pursuits of passions?
Um, so I used to, and it's funny because I've never said this on any podcast, nothing. So my very first business that I ran, which was that playground set business, that was me doing things off of Donovan's foundation. No integrity, no character. It started off that way. I was like, yeah, I'm making all this money, man. This is great. And then I slowly noticed I was kind of doing this like pre-sale method almost. And there's nothing wrong with it, but you just got to do it the right way. So what I would do is I would, accept all of these orders from my clients. People who are just trying to order play sets left and right. and I'd get all this money together, and then I'd be like, you know what? I'm not going to buy the playset yet. I'm going to use their money to start running ads. So basically,
Mm.
their shipping times went from like, because I had really good shipping times, about 3 to 5 day shipping. So instead, now their shipping times is like 20, 30 days. I'm forcing it at this point. Yeah, I know. And that was the moment when I immediately got hit with, because I thought I could get away with it. I was like, you know what? I'm still shipping it out. I'm still doing the right thing. But I didn't see it from the way God wants me to see things, which is, it says, treat others how you want to be treated and
Mm.
love one another as yourself. So I didn't do that, because would I want to order something if I knew it was going to come 20 to 30 days later? Absolutely not. So if I'm not running my business with integrity, why on earth would God put me as his CEO to run his business with integrity? And that business failed.
Yikes.
Literally, it just failed.
Yikes.
And so now moving forward, me as a man of God and being in the faith now, I've learned when things look good, look at God. When things look bad, look at God. And he'll direct you in whatever way that he wants you to go. Because I've passed up on so many deals because, for example, the product that, let's say, one of my clients were selling was something that goes against my faith, something that goes against what God says is good. And it was very tempting. I'm not going to lie. It was very tempting. The money was very good, but I said, I can't do it. I just can't. I won't do it. Because it's not my business. It's God's.
Hmm.
I'm just running it. He chose me to run it. So I have a duty to run it with the principles he set me up with. So,
Man, that's a bar for sure. Definitely. I think this inspires me and even younger me, before
mm,
I like ever wanted to. It kind of just shows how, you know, the principles are all laid out. The Bible
yeah.
isn't just for Donovan, but it's accessible,
Mm,
and it teaches you how to do kind of what you're doing. For the people that are looking up to what we're talking about right now. It's kind of like, hey, I get my principles from the Bible, so you point it to God. And
mm-hmm.
even the fact that some people might look at it like, what, you passed up on, let's say, like,
Yep.
like it was like a crazy amount of bread, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
People might look at that like
Yep.
it's crazy, for sure, but I think you're staying true to your beliefs, so you know which direction you're
Mm-hmm.
going. You're not just like,
Yeah.
oh, that looks good, so I'm gonna go over here, or, that looks
Yep.
great. You have a focus, you have your blinders, and you're able to have your parameters on which way you go. So how do you think young people can even stay true to themselves while pursuing their dreams? Because like you said, there's
Mm-hmm.
some things that come up.
Oh, yeah. I'd say staying true to yourself, being young. It's definitely, you want to understand, first of all, don't see yourself as, I'm young, I have no idea what I'm doing, I have no direction, not that I don't know what direction I want to go in. I'd say see yourself as young, but you can get to where you want to go. And I'd say the best, like, guide, the best mentor while you're young to help you avoid so many mistakes is God. Like, that might sound cliche, that might sound like, oh, you're just saying that. You're right, I am just saying that because I've made those mistakes. I've been in positions where if I had have followed God's principles and his foundations, I wouldn't have made so many mistakes. I probably would have taken that business to 6, 7 figures. I don't know. If I had just had the right principles, the right mentor, the right guide, and I didn't have that. So my advice to you is simply just, you know, look for the person who's perfect. No other person is perfect like God. And I'd say, with that being said, you got to run after it. You can't let, the flashy things like the Rolexes, and because I've had that stuff, and it was cool. I'm not gonna lie, it was cool when I was growing up, but it don't last. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't last. It
Mm.
never comes with, the cool, like the girls are there, the money's there, uh, even the drugs are there and things like that. Like, I've been involved with all of that, and it's just not worth it, man. I'm just being real. It's not worth it.
Mm.
Building something that you don't have to look over your shoulder, you don't have to see like, oh, is someone filing legal action against me, or you just don't have to. You can run it while feeling good. You don't want to be looking over your shoulder for stuff. So
Yeah.
that's my advice to you: is just, just you guys just lock in, man. Just figure it out. Look to God, and He'll help you. You have to give it a shot, though.
Yeah, that's inspiring, bro. I think everything you do comes from a sense of, I give it to God. It doesn't
Yeah.
seem like it's
Mhm.
it's your business, of course, but this is what God is running it, and I'm allowing him to, because he's great, and he just, it's all his at the end of
Mhm.
the day. We'll realize that
Absolutely.
kind of quick.
Yep.
Um,
Mhm.
but I think just the fact that you have, your perimeters, you have these things that help you to stay focused, and you've learned lessons.
Yeah.
And for the people listening too, I think it's always good to, like Donovan said, give it a shot, because there's some things that we
Mhm.
don't try out of fear of how much I have to give up or things like that. But I
Yep.
think just giving it a shot, and trusting it at the end of the day is the best thing you can do, because um like I said, I mean, in the moment it can seem like, oh, the money is good, looking over my shoulder is
Yeah.
just something that comes with it, but nobody wants to live a life like that. I mean, you don't
Yeah.
want to live a
Nah.
life out of
Or
fear, anxiety of, shoot, what's gonna happen if this happens. Like, you just get to have a sense of security with what you do, and like, I think, shoot, who doesn't want that?
yep.
I think that's
Absolutely.
well put, really well put.
Appreciate it.
Um, for the and for our young people listening too, or young, everybody listening actually, can you speak to the importance of emotional intelligence and self-awareness in personal and professional growth?
So for just on that aspect of like really examining yourself, and so I think of a scripture that just comes to mind, and you guys can continue to hear me bring up biblical things. There's a scripture that says, uh, don't don't just hear the word and don't do what it says. It's like looking at yourself in the mirror and then forgetting what you look like when you walk away.
Mm,
You want to be in a place where you can continually just say, "Hey, am I growing or am I not growing? Am I being stagnant, meaning am I sitting in one spot and not acting, or am I going towards the goals that I'm trying to get to?" You also want to always be learning. Learning can mean just doing fun stuff like sitting, watching a YouTube video. Because, for example, when you start a business that you actually like and you're good at, you won't know you're good at it, or you won't know you like it until you actually try. You have to thug it out. That's just the way to say it. Like, you gotta just
yeah,
sit there, grind it out, and you'll discover, okay, am I either good at this, or do I just like it? Or am I good and I like it? You have to
yeah,
find out where you're at. And emotional intelligence comes down to, you gotta, once you figure out what you're good at and what you like, you need to study that. You need to figure out how you can be better. It's a race. You got to figure out, how can you be better than your competitors? How can you be better in yourself, and look in yourself and say, okay, am I just doing this for XYZ reasons? Because if you're just doing this for girls, I'm just being real. Like, if you're a girl or boy, if you're looking this to get girls, there's always going to be girls around. If you're looking to this for boys, boys are always going to be around. And if you're looking to this for money, money's always going to be around, but you're not always going to be around. So you want to make sure you can check yourself, and say, where am I at? How am I growing? How can I move in the right direction? Because you don't want to find yourself in a place where I was, where I think on year like 3, year 4 of running my business, I was just being dumb. I wasn't focused. I had results, and once the money started coming in, I thought that could be like, I could just kick back, kick my feet up, let the money
yeah,
come in, and things just went to crap. Things just got folded. So I just said, all right, I can't do this no more, and I had to start from scratch. And when I started from scratch, things weren't the same anymore. So always, always, always take a look at yourself. And when you take a look at yourself, make sure you're taking a look at yourself based on the foundations that I mentioned earlier, because you want to have a guide. Perfect example, and I'll finish my point with this. If you're a U.S. citizen, right? What makes you a U.S. citizen? Because you follow the law, not because you say you're a U.S. citizen.
yeah,
You're a U.S. citizen by law. You've gone through different, things that qualify you, and you're following the law. Because if you don't follow the law, you can't be a citizen. You'll go to jail. There's consequences to your actions. Same thing with God. If you're going to say, hey, I'm building this business, okay, what are you building your business on? What principles do you go back to and say, hey, if I don't follow this, I can expect nothing to happen. I can expect my growth to start going backwards instead of forwards. And that's where you call yourself back to, hey, where am I at? What am I doing? How can I be better? So,
yeah. That's good stuff, man. I'm soaking this in myself. I don't know about you guys listening, but this is rich. This is rich right here. I think
Appreciate
you
that,
know,
man.
and emotional intelligence is it's taught for sure, but we have to grow in that because sometimes we can be stubborn as people. We can
Yeah.
be stubborn and kind of ignore good advice. I know for me, like sometimes like the concept of God in the Bible could be overwhelming, but that could be a
Yeah.
sense that could be from a sense of stubbornness and rejection from it. It's just like, all right, this is too much, too much.
Yeah.
But instead of just taking a shot, and that's what I'm trying to say. Like sometimes things that we know is better or good for us, and some things that we know could be better for us, we can resist it because it's like that's too much. I don't know if
Yeah.
I really want to deal with all that. But I think you hit the hammer on the nail. Just giving it a shot and embracing it. Kind of like us being U.S. citizens. Like I mean,
Yeah.
you have the choice to break the law, but
Yep.
we know better. We know better
Oh
because
yeah.
we don't want to
Yep.
end up in a bad
Hmm.
situation. So I think you kind of hit, yeah, like I said, that's good stuff. Good stuff, man.
Appreciate it.
Um, how have those qualities impacted your business?
Um, Dramatically. So basing it off of just understanding where I'm at, because when I'm writing down, let's say like revenue wise, okay, where are we at in revenue? Why are we here? Because, like, let's say we're at XYZ amount and we're like, okay, why are we at XYZ amount? What did we do to go from the past where we were to here now? And are there things that we're doing wrong? Are there, because just because you're growing doesn't mean you're not doing it, like you're doing everything right. You could have
Mhm.
grown and you could have forgot key principles in the past, like let's say little things like you could be leaving money on the table. You could be, you could have probably lost some integrity and you took on some deals that you shouldn't have taken on, or you notice you've done things that you weren't supposed to do. And yeah, that's why you made more money, but you left the integrity behind. And now only that follows is destruction. I'm not trying to, wish bad on you guys, but integrity will catch up with you. Character will catch up with you. If it caught up with me. I've had so many issues in the past of just when you don't have that integrity for your business. I promise you, it will fail. I promise you. Or things will get really good. And what Satan he loves to do is he'll continue to feed you a form of success until he inevitably sweeps the rug from under you, because he cares about
Yeah.
making sure that you get so happy with things that are not of God, good things. And so you're thinking, I'm making so much money. I got all these girls around me, or for girls, I've got all these guys around me. I'm living life. But that's what Satan wants you to do. He wants to distract you, and then he just sweeps that rug from under you and takes it all. Or, to be honest, he won't take it all. He'll just have you do that until the day you die, and then it's too late. And I'm just being real. That's just the
Yeah.
way, that's just the way the Bible tells it, and that's just the way it is.
Right. And these things are factual, you have your
Yeah.
source. And I think
Mm.
just the fact that like you mentioned, I think Satan, he'll try to, I mean, he'll offer you the world in a sense
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
other things that are outside of what God would want for you.
Yep.
And those things can seem attractive until you start to see how they negatively affect your families and
Mhm.
your business and
Yep.
even your life. I mean, sometimes we can't even see it though, because
Yep.
our hearts are deceitful. We think that we're just going the right way. We think everything's going right. So
Yep.
yeah, that's real talk, man. That's real. And I think the aspect of like getting swept under is so real. He'll give you
Yep.
all the motivation, give you the hype,
Mhm.
as long as you just focus on God a little bit less. And in that moment,
Yep.
it could be taken all away. Like what we
Just
have right
like
now is
that.
not even promised tomorrow or even in the next 10 minutes, you know? So I
Exactly.
think understanding that concept too it's a step in emotional intelligence because it makes you think
Mhm.
from a deeper scale, not just right now, but future. Like,
Yeah.
how is this impacting me in the future? How is this affecting people around me, even myself? How is this affecting myself? So that's real,
Mhm.
man. Real,
Yeah.
man.
Mhm. Good stuff.
So with that, because with that, I mean, you got your wise counsel, but why do you believe that seeking, advice from wiser people and mentorship from people that are experienced, even like, how is that beneficial to your business?
I was funny because I used to be against like having a mentor, and because I thought I knew it all. I was very naive. I thought, well, I don't need a mentor. I'm making it work. Why do I need a mentor? And a mentor is not to say, it's not for you to get, and it shows, hey, you're incapable. A mentor is to help you to not make certain mistakes. And I remember a mentor that I had, perfect example. So I wouldn't call him a mentor, because a mentor is an ongoing relationship between you and someone who's done what you're doing, or is going for the same, has accomplished the success that you're going for. I had a great opportunity to sit down one time on a call with the CEO of T-Mobile, a past CEO, and me and him talked, and he gave me the best business advice at the time, and he said, "Well, Donovan, I know you're trying to run your clothing line and you're trying to run your marketing agency," and he gave me the nugget, and I couldn't think about it in that moment, because I was running both, and both were doing pretty well. But he said, "Which one is your passion business?" And I said, "My clothing line." And he said, "Which one makes the most money?" And I said, "My agency." And he said, "Okay, well, put the clothing line to the side, because that's your passion. You can always come back to your passion. That will never die. But your profit business, the one that's making the money, that isn't guaranteed. Those things can fall off quickly. So I would put all your effort, all your time into your profit business, which is the agency. And when you get to a certain point of financial stability and financial freedom, then you can reinvest your money into your passion. And now you have both. You're not like slaving away in your passion. You feel like, hey, I'm getting results now, and I can do the things that are necessary. So that was, to me, that was some of the greatest. It sounds so simple, but that was the greatest advice that I had gotten at that time. And it was just it was amazing. I listened to one of my favorite like online mentors, JT Fox. He's a great guy, and I watch a lot of his videos, and he keeps business pretty simple. He keeps it with character. Um, and he's very simple the way he explains things, and he's straight to the point, because with a mentor, you need somebody who is going to tell you what's what. They're not going to sit there and sugarcoat you, make you feel good.
Yeah.
Um, and another last little nugget I'll say on this question is, um, when it comes down to leadership and mentorship, another book that I'm currently in is called, it's like the basic principles of leadership and in the kingdom. And it basically talks about, as a leader is not meant to make his, the people he's leading happy. His job is to actually lead them in the right direction. And oftentimes, when they are getting pushed in the right direction, there are speed bumps. People get angry. People get mad. So you need a mentor. They're going to tell you what's what. They're going to tell you how to grow. They're going to help you to not make mistakes that you would have made doing it on your own. It's your fast track, your fast lane to, I won't say success, but to get to hit goals, to hit landmarks and things like that.
Yeah. Wow, dude, that's great. I think one thing, a couple, I mean, a lot. I could, we can go on, but I
Oh
think the
yeah.
fact that I think the point you made just about um passions and funding, like
Mhm.
the one thing that you had two businesses, you had one that was funding you, one that was your passion. Dude, wow, that hit home for sure for me personally. But I think even the fact that coaches and mentors help you to like kind of avoid bumps and avoid, you know, like regret, honestly, because a lot of this stuff comes with
Mhm.
regret. Why'd I do
Yeah.
this? And regret definitely. I forgot who. I think it was. I don't know if it was Bruce Lee, but the quote about regret weighing tons. It's
Yeah.
deep, like how there's nothing like it. Regret just it sticks
Mhm.
with you. You sit with it,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's crazy. So,
Mhm. Most
you
definitely.
know,
That's a good point.
and yeah, it's real talk. And like, how do you think for the young people listening, how can they find mentors who offer valuable guidance and support?
Okay, I'll answer that in two parts. Um, First part is from my standpoint of the biblical standpoint. If you're looking for a good mentor, someone who you're like, hey, I am trying to find Jesus, I am trying to find God, but I also want someone who can help me grow, not just personally, but financially in my business and what I do, my craft. You definitely want to find someone who holds the Bible, which is the Word of God, someone who holds that to those standards. What does it teach about doctrinal teachings, meaning what does it teach about how one is entered into the kingdom of God, and make sure they stand firm on that. And if you guys are looking for that, CJ's podcast is a great way to find. Look on his socials or look on my socials.
Okay.
We go to the same church, man. So
Yes,
if you
sir.
guys are looking for that, hit us up. That's for sure. And then on the other side, if you're like, hey, I'm just trying to make things work. If you're looking for a mentor, like I said, just find people who do your homework on them. Don't just find anybody that says, "Hey, I've made X millions of dollars." You want to find someone that you've looked at their work, you've looked at their reviews, because people talk. People will tell you how this person actually is, apart from their YouTube videos, apart from their podcasts, their streams, their live events on stage. There's a lot of guys that I thought were going to be good mentors for me, and these are very wealthy guys. And it came down to the fact of, I've looked at the reviews, I've looked at the what people are saying, and these guys were scammers. These guys were, yes, they're making money, but not in a way of integrity. And that
Mm,
stuff will come back to get you. Now dude's fighting in court, for different things in real estate, and I'm just like, I don't want nothing to do with that.
right.
I don't got time for that. So
Yeah. Do your homework, definitely. I think you testimonies are, they tell a lot, how
yeah.
people because I mean, even the concept of like, you could see something that looks so great, but like on the surface,
Hmm.
because like Instagram, like you're not gonna post a picture of you
Yeah.
crying or like sorry,
Yep.
like going through it, But
Hmm.
unless you came up, but
Yeah.
um, there's a lot of stuff that goes behind the scenes that people will give their testimonies on and tell you about how it's really going, and it
Yep.
kind of gets you a right image. But I do agree with you in the sense of just having good people and someone that holds the standards of the Bible, in a perfect sense. Not some people might counter some people's belief, but I
Yeah.
think someone that holds good standards like the Bible to their life, and people that represent it well, so people that
Hmm.
live it out in their own way, and
Yeah.
are all about helping you. So, and that's
Absolutely.
definitely the best way to go. I don't know any better.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Most definitely. I hear
yeah.
you on that.
All right, Donovan, where can our audience, people that are listening in, go online to find you and learn more about what you do?
Yeah. So people can find me on my website, socialplankmarketing.com. And you can also find me on my LinkedIn at Donovan Parrish. And you can find me on Instagram, either from my personal Donovan J Parrish, or my Social Plank Instagram, which is Social Plank, or Social Plank Marketing. So I have two pages, and yeah, so people can find me there. If you would like to work with us, then you can go on my website and click the Learn More button, and a calendar will show up with my Calendly link. You can book a time and day, and my guy will reach out to you, my ad specialist, and yeah, you'll do a discovery call. And if you want to reach me personally, then send me an email through socialplankmarketing@gmail.com, and just put in the subject field funnel, and I will personally reach out to you myself. So yeah, if you want to connect, just let me know, and I'm there. We'll talk. That's for sure.
Awesome. There y'all have it, man. I hope this helps you find your true fire.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.